So the basic message, as the title says here, is basically, are you worth it? And, I think a lot of us have a defensionary reaction to say, oh yes, I'm worth it. That if you would say anything less, you're admitting some, deep-seated depression. But that's not what we're looking for here. I want to talk about that you-ness. I really want to kind of elaborate what I'm talking about there so we actually answer this question. And I did a presentation with some students recently, and it kind of made this very clear. I asked them to talk about a friend in class, describe them, and of course they didn't talk about blood type, they didn't talk about eye color or hair length, weight, height, any of those scientifically measurable things. That's not you. Not trying to, my wife coaxed a local photographer to help us out, so that's this handsome devil here. When you know me, it's not the eye color, it's not the hairstyle, it's not all the body mass that's below the shoulders here. And there's plenty. I got plenty of hibernation. That's not what you know. That's not how you identify with this thing called Andrew. You know my likes. You know my dislikes. You know that I I might be a little bit awkward socially when we're just kind of shooting the breeze. I'm much more interested in things that have goals. It's just kind of the person that I am. There's really no way around it. That's just kind of life. Andrew as kind of a spiritual being, just as any of us know you. So that's really, and that's why I asked that question, to say, do you value you? Because that's a very different question than, do you as a theoretical person have value? Do you value you? If I could give you more, and there's ways to test that. If I could give you more time to do the things you're interested in, would you like to have more time to do the things you're interested in? Usually the answer is yes. If I could give you more money, to do the things that you're interested in, and I'm not selling any multi-level marketing programs, so it just sounds like it. If I could give you more money to do the things that you find interesting, usually the answer is yes as well. I would theoretically value that, but when the question is, would you, and if I could give you the time and the money, would it be worth the trouble? If I could actually get you there, if I could actually get you to the place where you have the time and the money to pursue some things that you actually have a ownership in, have an interest in, especially career-wise, that's what we're really talking about. The answer is theoretically yes. But do you take the time? Do you take the money? Do you take do you go through the trouble? Do you even make the attempt? Do people even make the attempt to find out what their passions are doing? Usually the answer is absolutely not. And that's a problem. And why is that? Because if it's something that's so, it's not even that I'm just handing it to you. You said you'd be worth, theoretically, you said you'd go through the trouble it would take to get the time and the money to do things that you're interested in, to make a dent in the universe in the way that you would like to do. There is a desire to sacrifice for that. So why don't we do that? If all the answers point to yes, why don't we move forward? And I think many times the answer is because they don't value that you-ness. Whenever you look outside, and even, parents aside and family aside, if you're going to the general world and saying, I have a talent gap there, I can't just jump into this job, or it even would take, even if I'm perfect for this job, let's talk career terms because that's important. Even if I'm perfect for the job, it's going to take time to get warm to the water and get into the rhythm of things. It's going to take money to obviously pay for me to be here, and there's going to be some trouble in getting that going there. But I mean, especially that money, when you're kind of putting yourself there out on the market and saying, for whatever, $15 an hour, I think I can make you more money than it costs me to be here. That's basically what a job is. You're getting them to make the bet that they would make more money by paying you to be there. That they'd rather have your time, your talents, your treasures available as a resource to them than they would desire the money that they have in their bank account. And so many times as we, go past hobbies, because most of these things we're interested in, we have that kind of professionally and educationally relegated towards your hobbies. That's the world isn't here to pay you to be you, is kind of the refrain. When we look at the people who reach the kinds of levels of success and financial success and impact success, the things that we want to do ourselves, it seems like the world's kind of paying them to be them. and those are the people that really catch our attention, not because they're narcissistic. The really narcissistic ones usually fall off the face of the earth, and we don't really pay attention because no one really wants to watch that. So the interesting thing becomes, what are we actually going to do to get it to that place? How do we get them to value that Eunice, that me thing? How do I get people in the world to value Andrew? And how can this apply to you as well? Well, the easiest thing we found, and we can do it in 15 minutes, believe it or not, by asking a few simple questions, not to nerd it out here. Once again, I'm trying to be more of a advocate, not an accountant, not to be so numbers-based, but basically, before we get into this, I'll point a little bit so you understand what I'm saying. But any managers out there, any employers out there, any hard-nosed business professionals, any career professionals out there, just like if you think you got some bona fides, you can play along with our little game here. When it comes to making better decisions and avoiding costly mistakes, if I could show you how someone could help you do that, could you monetize that? Yeah, the answer usually is yes. If someone can help me make better decisions, avoid costly mistakes, I can make money with that. Okay. If I could show you how a person is going to help you build stronger relationships, so that even if things go wrong, nobody's complaining because they have such good, solid connections, true, strong connections with your coworkers, with your customers, with your investors, that this person can just not necessarily schmooze, but they're just so trustworthy that people just don't think of complaining. Could you monetize that? Oh yeah, if nothing else, it could save me lots of money, lots of returns and customer complaints, obviously. When it comes to getting people to say yes and stay that way, not just say yes one time and then we follow up, nah, I don't really want to do it. If I could give you a person and show you how this person can get your customers and coworkers to get on board and move and agree, can you make money with that? You bet your bones you can do that. Now, and of course the simplest one is if I can show you how someone can just get stuff done, tasks accomplished, get things checked off, could you make money with that? The answer is obviously yes. So before we go further, let's really set the table with what we have here. If you had the time and the money, and you could go through the trouble for pretty much the guarantee that you would be able to spend more of your week doing things that you have at least some interest in, as opposed to most people's jobs. I think Gallup just said this last year, 2017, the last stats that were out, 80% of people are in two categories. 65% don't like their job, and 15% don't like their job, basically. And of the remaining 20%, only 13% said that they were engaged, which basically to me means you're kind of more full of life, you're lowering your shoulder and you're pushing. Every ounce of kickback and pressure and fight that you get is a personal challenge. You got a personal stake in the success of this thing. Don't we all want to be there? So setting that table to say, if you had the time, you had the money, and it was worth the trouble, you'd go. And if we just went through the other side, for those people that we believe beyond a shadow of doubt do not value this you thing, we were confident that they didn't think any money could be made with it, and we just had them say yes to all four possibilities of making better decisions, building stronger relationships, getting more agreement, and getting stuff done. They said, yes, we can make money with that. So why aren't we connecting people? Because we don't know how the personal connects with the professional, with the passion connects with the profit. And that's what this whole system's meant to do. And if you haven't gone to findyourfuels.com, I encourage you strongly to go there. We have a free evaluation. You can see it in the top right corner. I'll show you that in a little bit. But this is kind of the stuff that we get on the back end, and stuff that we can have the ability to show people if they so choose, if this is what they're looking for. Because this is me. This is kind of my apology to the world. You know what? This is why when I was going through school, this is making better decisions, building stronger relationships, getting people to say yes and stay yes, and getting things done. This is why every teacher that my poor mother had to sit through a parent-teacher conversation, interpretive, I can connect the dots. I can see how things work together. They're like, there's no way that he knows what he knows because we've seen his homework. But the funny thing is efficiency is really in there. So especially these things, coach, efficiency, improvement, presentation. It's like if I've already connected the dots, I'm good for school in one way. If it's connecting the dots and then finding a way to more efficiently present that same information to help other students achieve their goals, and if I can be something where I'm constantly improving this talent, training and development, who knew I would end up in that, or consulting? Crazy idea. Oh, it should have been so simple. So simple. But if I'm already figured those things out and I'm not getting any better and I'm not allowed to present to anybody and you're asking me to do 98 problems when I already showed you, at least in my adolescent mind, that I already showed you in the first 2 problems I know how to do this stupid math problem. Why are you punishing me? Because I thought this was the whole goal of schooling, just to connect the dots, and I was already doing that. So it's not that I was even rebelling, it just made no sense to me to do it. It just seemed like a literal waste of time, especially since I could ace the tests. It didn't make sense. Now, this does not help in a work-based context, because the same top 10 ACT, top 10 ACT for different sections there, especially for connecting the dots, nationally when I took it, that same student, once he gets out into the workforce, if the early jobs are getting along with your coworkers, being a part of the team, and getting things done, how do you think that went? It didn't. For years and years and years, until I found myself in more of a coaching role where I was using the information I possessed to help people more efficiently achieve their goals in a way where they can see constant daily process and improvement. Crazy idea. And people were like, wow, Andrew, it's like you've really found yourself. And the truth was I did. But it wasn't because I was some great person or I, really worked harder than anyone else. I worked actually much harder trying to get into these team-based entry-level things and work my way up the ladder, but no one would trust me enough because it seems I'm so much of a salesperson and I'm thinking just a hair faster than they think. There was no freaking way it was going to happen until I had information like this. When I say, are you valuable, this is the you I'm talking about. Because this is what we identify with. It's not the physical characteristics. It's not the things that we can measure in a science lab. It's the things that make us us. I wish I could tell you that I'm even in this industry because I loved people. Because I'm like, oh, people have so much value and they just would love to self-actualize at work. That would be a lot nicer on a poster. You want to know the honest truth? No one was connecting the dots for me. All the best and brightest minds and the best and brightest programs and the best and brightest quizzes couldn't tell me jack as to what to do with this. It was horribly inefficient. I spent decades of my life trying to do what they told me to do to help me get to my goals, when in fact I wasn't even interested in my goals. It's like, Andrew, you could be making so much money. Yeah, fine. Am I really helping anybody? It doesn't matter. Let that worry about someone else. No, I want to worry about it. Andrew, when you had that job, it's good enough. You don't have to keep trying to climb. It's just like, just stay in that job for 2 to 3 years. Just stay there. That's the way the world works. And I was like, not in my world, please. And there was no opportunity to present because I was just a worker. I'm not a trainer. The things that make you, you need those things. Those are the things that charge your battery, that fill your tank. That's why we call them fuels. But if they're not being sparked by the environment around you, they're just sitting there in the tank collecting dust, waiting to explode. You have to find a way that you are valuable. Because if it's just the physical form showing up for the job, that ain't gonna last. If you just feel at the end of the day you're a butt that's looking for a seat, if they just need a warm body, that's a problem. You need to be able to show up to work. You need to know that when you wake up, the world outside there values you. And I'm sure there's other ways to do it, but by golly, if you have a way to, in 15 minutes, to go to a simple website and find out what this is for you, it's different for every single person out there. What is it for you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? And why does that matter to anybody? How does it help them make more money by making better decisions, building stronger relationships? Getting people to say yes and stay yes, or getting stuff done. All you have to do is go to fuels.org, click on that top right corner, and just answer a few questions for 15 minutes. They're super simple. It's really not that hard. And if you need some more information, you'll be connected with us. We can take you through a free 15-minute evaluation. We can send you some of the information yourself, and we can get you rolling. So if you really want to make that valuable thing valuable, if you want to believe what you should be believing, that there's a world out there waiting for you, that if you don't show up, we lose. If I had just listened to everybody, this would have never been invented. We wouldn't be helping people in Iowa and Virginia and all these other states that are coming on board to help them connect with their local workforce. None of this, what's going to be happening even a year from now, would have happened if I just listened and shut up and sit down. I made something I wanted to see. But more importantly, I made something that made sense. Because as far as careers, there was plenty of dots that weren't getting connected. People all in the wrong positions. People were not meeting their life goals. They were wasting huge amounts of time, effort, and talent to get there. People were stuck, and it didn't make sense what they were telling us. I literally believe I had no opportunity except to do this. I couldn't get away. Anyone who tried to break it out of my mind, it was just impossible. It was just dynamited in. Because I felt there was something right about this, that I cared about it enough, I had enough personal ownership, that even if I help myself out the least, but I help hundreds to thousands to hundreds of thousands to millions to billions of people get to their goals, that's when I can go home happy. That's when you can just put me in the ground, put a tombstone over it. I'll live till I'm 100 because I'm sure I'll enjoy watching my boys, and my wife, as we go through life. So I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. But just the fact that I'm out there being myself, and I know that I get to wake up and the world that there's a connection I have with the world around me. I have this you-ness. I want to be able to do that for you guys. So if you don't have that as part of your life, definitely go and check it out. Fuels.org, evaluation in the top right corner. And we'll have some better things later. So for those of you who are watching live on Facebook, who have been putting up with this crazy guy talking, please let me know what parts of this really stuck out with you emotionally. What are some of the key phrases or things that really hit when I was talking? What are some of the thoughts? Is there a different way I could say it? We really want to have an emotional pitch where I think this is a very soulful thing, that people want to know that they're valuable, and they want to have a direct path to a direct expression of that value. Because at the end of the day, as I like to say, if you're using all of your working hours with only 30% of your talents to pay half your bills, that's a problem. Because if nothing else, you've got no time left. You've got 70% of, theoretically 70% of your talent left on the table unused, and the bills aren't going anywhere. I could spend, once I got into this, we were able to pay the bills, but you sit back at some time, it's like, man, I'm now using 70% of my talent and only 30% of my time to pay 100% of my bills. And I have to believe that can be true for everybody else. It might take a little bit more work, but at least if we have a roadmap of how to get there, to actually turn your passion into profit, it's not about making money. It's about being able to make a dent in the universe. Because if you don't have the money, you can't find the time, and it won't be worth the trouble. So thanks so much to everybody who tuned in. Let's keep this conversation going. So thankful for all of you guys helping out, and we'll talk to you soon. And I will now stand up, and I don't have a remote. Otherwise, I would end this live stream, but I'm going to have to do it manually. Thanks so much.